Absolutely. It's essential that we do both, and indeed we now have within the climate change bill legal requirements to achieve greenhouse gas reductions every 3 years, and therefore we have to do both. And it's very clear that we can't continue to reduce and decarbonise other sectors of our economy and not decarbonise transport, because transport is simply a too important source to ignore. But I think that the message from me is that we shouldn't believe that technology is going to be a silver bullet in this. Even if we deploy the most ambitious technology scenarios that the International Energy Agency can come up with, transport will still consume well over 50% of Europe's total greenhouse gas cap by 2050. And therefore it's very clear that alongside the whole range of technologies which we can and must adopt in order to decarbonise transport, we're also going to have to do those things which Doug has been describing around reducing our need to travel and around choosing lower carbon modes by making those more commercially and otherwise attractive to the travelling public. And I don't think we should be afraid of this, because I don't know about you, but the vast majority of journeys that I make, I don't actually want to make. If there was an alternative, I would actually use it. I would avoid that journey. I would have the things delivered to my home. I would telecommute and go into the office less often. There's a whole host of things. Yes, of course, we still want to travel for pleasure. Yes, of course, we still want to visit friends and family. But those are not the journeys which we need to reduce, and they're not the first ones which we need to target. There's plenty of low-hanging fruit out there that we can start to target in our business emissions in the first instance, alongside our technology introductions. And with that, I think we really can radically reduce our carbon emissions and still deliver the economic growth that we need.
Christian Wolmar.
I don't quite agree with the two previous speakers. I think that what we have to do is actually begin to look at transport, as Doug was suggesting, not as an economic good, not as something beneficial, but as largely an unwanted externality, what the economists use. And not to therefore say that if people are travelling around more, this is a good thing. I think quite the opposite. For example, when John Prescott announced his ill-fated 2000 transport plan, 10-year plan, he said, I want rail travel to go up by 50%. And you think, well, why? What is exactly that about? Now you might want rail travel to go up by 50% if all those people had previously travelled by car or by plane or whatever. But you don't necessarily want rail travel to go up by 50% for no good reason. And I think we are nowhere near the right frame of mind of thinking yet in government circles about this. There is still the notion that we have to facilitate transport, we have to make it easier. I always ask transport ministers the question, do we want more transport or less? And they can I've never heard a coherent answer to that question, because it's a very difficult question. But I think we have to be looking at that. We have to be saying, actually, we need to look at all ways of reducing transport. And the key to that, of course, is pricing. Transport is too cheap. I mean, it's a very small part of the costs of most goods. It has been underpriced in terms of the externalities it causes in a myriad ways, and it has to be repriced, and that has to be at the heart of any policy towards sorting out a coherent transport policy.